Welcome to the Nursing Dose with your host, Dr. Farah Laurent. Today, I'm going to be answering a question that I get asked a lot by my clients, particularly when I am doing coaching and interview preparation. So today, I was working with a client, um, and they asked me this specific question: How to communicate in an interview without sounding fake. Okay. And I know a lot of people struggle with this, not just as a new nurse, but even as an experienced nurse, because you're just so nervous, worried about what to say, and just worried about how you're going to come across, right? So I'm going to share today 5 tips that you really need to work on in order for you to be successful in your next interview and help you with your communication skills during the interview. For those who don't know me, I help new graduate nurses and senior nursing students level up so that they can land their dream job in less than 90 days. Okay. And again, getting specialty areas like labor and delivery, ICU, emergency medicine, outpatient setting, psychiatry, whatever it is that your heart desires, you can get it as a new nurse. Okay. So I know residency programs are going to be coming up, and this is important for you to listen up on how to be successful in your next interview. The other thing is you need to know who you're interviewing with, right? So that's extremely important. A lot of my clients, I'll ask them, who are you interviewing with? And they don't know. You need to know which individuals are there so that you can research them, look them up. And then you need to know if it's a one-on-one interview or if it's a panel. But let's say you absolutely have no clue for some reason, and you go in, just be ready, whether it's a panel or a person. It's going to be, the message is going to be pretty much the same. So how do you communicate without sounding fake in an interview? Let's get into it. For those who are joining me, let me know where you're watching from, what city, what country. Put any questions or comments that you may have in the chat section. And if you happen to be watching the replay, same thing. All right. And also, I've helped over 100 nurses land their dream role. So let's get into it. Number one, you need clarity. You need clarity surrounding, number one, who you are, right? You can't go into an interview if you don't truly know who you are and how to articulate your value in that interview. Okay. So you need to be comfortable with yourself and you need to know who you are. You need to know your strengths, your values, all those things you need to know. And why is that important in communication? Because I'm going to get into it in a little bit. But the more comfortable you are with yourself, the more you know yourself, the easier it'll be to communicate with others, particularly in an interview situation, so that you come across more authentic, more reassured, more confident, and less, fake sounding. Okay. So I know there's a big thing out there about code switching. A lot of people, depending on the situation they're in, the room they're in, who they're hanging out with, sometimes they switch up a little bit. In an interview, yes, do you have to be professional? Yes, you could be professional, but you could still be yourself. But you need that clarity before you go into the interview. You need to have your messaging figured out and what you exactly want to say before you get into that interview. Okay. Which leads me to number 2 is the preparation. You need to be prepared with your messaging, what you want to communicate, how you want to communicate it, while still sounding like yourself, and being authentic, right? So what does preparing look like? Some people think, oh, I could just wing this and going to the interview. I've done interviews before, but you need to be prepared because the more prepared you are, the less nervous you are. And typically when people are nervous during interviews, the natural thing to do is to talk a lot, ramble, and speak much more quickly than your regular speed, right? The pace of and how you speak. So you definitely want to prepare so that you're more confident in what you're saying, so that you don't sound nervous, because when you're nervous, you're really not sounding like yourself, and then you're rambling, which doesn't make any sense to the interviewer. So again, you want to sound very confident, very reassured, which comes with that number one piece of clarity. Number two, being prepared so that you can comfortably and confidently express yourself to the interviewer and really state your unique value proposition. What helps you stand out? What makes you the best candidate for this position? And that is how you're going to communicate with authenticity, because you're going to be so confident when you're prepared. Okay. Some things that I help my clients with when we do this interview coaching is we develop an interview pitch. And that is the very first few minutes of your interview. I don't care what interview you're going for, what role, whether you're a new nurse or an experienced nurse, 99% of the time, the very first question that they're going to ask you is, tell me about yourself, or walk me through your resume, which is essentially the same question. Okay. So you definitely want to be prepared. And that is the pitch. So I'm going to get into the interview pitch in just a little bit, but it's really a framework and a structured way that you can present yourself that's organized, right? In a way that grabs and captures the interviewer's attention. And we're going to get into how you can do that in just a moment. Okay. Number three is communication. So, what do I mean by communication? Obviously, our nonverbal communication is very important during an interview. So, the way that you're sitting, what you're wearing, all those things will contribute to how you communicate. So, obviously, the day of your interview, you have to come looking fabulous, right? Dress to impress, have your makeup done, your hair done, whatever it is. You know, if you're a male watching, same thing. Make sure you have a really nice suit, whatever, invest in it. And everybody knows me. I will always tell you, do not wear black, do not wear gray, and do not wear dark navy blue. Wear something that stands out, that's going to literally help you stand out in your interview, because you are communicating before you even open your mouth in the way that you're dressed, because that is also extremely important as the person that you are. Um, and it's a conversation starter too, right? And if you're dressed really well, you look well, you smell good, all those things will contribute to the first impressions. And when you look better, you feel better and you're more confident. So that will all play in the way that you communicate. And then you can give a little bit of your personality also in the way that you dress through accessories or whatever it is that you want to do. But that is the way that you're going to be unforgettable um, through your communication. And then when you communicate, I would say just pay attention to the tone. So let's say you're a little bit more introverted person, you're very laid back. You could still be yourself, but I would say just smile a little bit more, sound excited about the position. It doesn't mean that you're acting fake. You're just bringing a little bit more energy to the way you communicate. Okay. And then just answer the questions honestly. Make sure that you're listening. So you're answering the exact question that they're asking you, because sometimes um, people tend to ramble on. So be concise when you're answering. uh, be aware of your tone. So some people are a little bit more monotone. Just give it a little bit of some variety when you're speaking so that you capture their attention. Okay. And again, you can still do this and sound like yourself. You don't have to sound fake and put on a persona that's not you. Okay. And then brings me to number 4, which is probably the most important, the most natural thing to do, and what is going to captivate the interviewer. And this is, and I talk about this all the time, this is the power of storytelling. So there's an art to this. You can tell your story without being, giving away too much, because essentially when you're in the interview, you're proving why you're the best candidate. You're proving how you can get the job done, how you can excel in the role, how your traits, your characteristics make you the best person for this role, right? You're going to be discussing things, especially if it's in healthcare and in the hospital setting or whatever setting. You're going to be touching upon things like safety, quality, patient experience, collaboration, that type of stuff, right? So, storytelling, I'll say always have at least 3 to 4 stories or 5 stories tucked away that can highlight your experience and highlight and demonstrate your expertise and how you can really excel in this role. But back to storytelling in the interview pitch. You want to start out your interview not introducing yourself. Okay, my clients laugh at me when I say don't introduce yourself in the beginning. Do not do this because everybody does the same thing. Don't say, hi, my name is Farah. I went to school here, blah, 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 boring, 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 right? You want to start off with either a statistic or something that'll capture their attention, and it's always going to be a story. You're always going to lead into your why story. Why is it that you want this position? What brought you to nursing, or what helped you transition, and maybe if it's a second career now into nursing, and how have your past experiences led you to this? And why do you want to work for this particular organization or in this particular specialty or unit, right? But you're going to tell it in a way that is going to capture their attention. So naturally, when we tell stories, we get, we kind of get into our thoughts and we're just really telling the story. So that's really being the most authentic and natural that you can be. So sometimes you might have a story that's from your childhood or something that happened to you in your family that led you to want to become a nurse, or maybe go into, say, labor and delivery or whatever the case is. So you're going to tell the story, and it's taking them through a journey, and they're going to be very captured and attentive when they're listening to you. And that is another way to naturally communicate and to not sound fake, because you're simply stating facts and you're telling a story, and the story should take them through some type of journey. There may be some emotions tied to it. So it's just very powerful and it makes you more memorable. So that's what I would say. Pull in a story, but you need to have a specific framework on how to tell that story. And that's what I do with my clients. So if you want to learn more about how to work with me, how to land your dream job in less than 90 days, specifically if you are a new nurse or a senior nursing student, I urge you to apply early. Do not wait till graduation. Don't wait until you pass your NCLEX, because you've missed the boat. You'll be sitting around for like 6 months with no job, and you don't want to do that. You want to start applying early. You want to apply for residency programs. So if you want to work with me, direct message me, or you can simply put career coach in the comments section if you're interested to work with me. But make sure that we're connected on LinkedIn so that we can message each other. But honestly, the easiest thing, just message me. All right. And then the 5th tip that I have for you on how not to sound fake is find a way that you can connect with the interviewer. And I always like to tell this, I always like to give this example. So stand-up comedians, I think, do this really well because they have a way of connecting with their audience, because they share things that are vulnerable, things that people go through, and things that are actually relatable. And when you can connect on something, so typically general things that people connect on, things like music or location of like where they've lived, or something like a preference or food, or maybe a place that you've been or you've traveled to. When people find a connection, something like that, they'll say, "Oh, wow, you went to that concert? Oh my goodness, you went to that restaurant? How did you find it?" Or, "Yeah, I went there too." Or, "Yeah, I grew up in Michigan," or, "I grew up in California or New York. Oh, do you know this place?" It sparks this conversation, and it almost feels like you're now somehow connected to that person on another, higher level. And that is truly, when you make those connections, the real conversations start. Because essentially, during an interview, yes, you want to answer their questions and everything like that. But really, it's like a vibe test, right? I always talk about vibes, right? So literally, you're qualified for the position. This is why they're interviewing you. They want to give you the position. So I tell my clients, it's all about mindset. You have to believe that you're just going there to literally just get the job. That's it. You're there to go meet them and to do them a favor, because they don't want to keep interviewing people. They want to give you the job. So stop with the nervousness, take that and put it into excitement, and stop overthinking. Just be yourself and have a conversation. Don't make it like, question, answer, question, answer. Just make it like you're having an actual conversation that's more natural, and then you're going to sound less fake. And again, that stems from being prepared, being confident, being competent in what it is that you do, and you truly believing that you are the best candidate for this position, because you are. And this is your time to really shine and demonstrate why you are the best person for this position. So again, it's that connection piece. Are you able to connect with the interviewer? Things like eye contact, making a joke, not being afraid to show a little bit of your personality while staying, professional, whatever that means, right? Professional, but, not crossing the line, not sharing too many personal details, like stay away from talking about family or if you have kids or things like that. Just keep it very neutral. If you have, let's say, a couple of things that you like to do, share those things. Say, hey, a couple other things that you may not know about me. Maybe you have a dog, you like to go hiking, you like to travel, you like whatever. I'd say 2 to 3 things that's, relatable that you could share at the end of the interview will help you. And then, like I said, they're just determining how you interact with other people, because in nursing, we're dealing with people every day. How are your interaction skills? Are you able to communicate effectively? And they want to decide, do they like you? Do they want you on their team? Are you going to be able to represent the organization in a way that's valuable, that is in alignment with their values, their mission, their vision? And this is why you need to really do your research and interview this organization, the unit, things like that. So as long as you're prepared, you're going to be confident, you're going to look good, and you're going to communicate with that confidence, and you're not going to sound fake. So just be as authentic as possible. Have just a conversation with them. And really, the key is to really connect with the interviewer and just be honest in your answers while, showing that expertise and why you should be the best candidate. So, like I said, if you want to learn more about how to work with me, how to slay that next interview, land your dream job in less than 90 days, especially if you're a new grad in the California area or New York area. I get this all the time. I did a newsletter today. Every time I'm on a consultation call with my clients, they're like, "Oh, I live in the Bay Area. I really want to go into L&D or ICU or whatever specialty, but it's so competitive here in this area," right? It's usually the people from California and New York. And I'm like, it's not that competitive. It's all about how you position yourself, you package yourself, how you communicate, and you can land that job. So literally, like I said, I help them get into their preferred hospital, preferred specialty, and they're making anywhere from 100,000 to 175,000 as a new nurse. So if that's what you want, Let's get talking. Let's get it. And let's get you in that specialty position or dream role that you really want. Hey, Caitlin, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And like I said, if you happen to be watching the replay, if you have any other questions about interview, career guidance, drop them in the comments, and I could do future pop-up lives like this where I can give you more tips. And then the other thing that I also cover is I also help nurses who are aspiring entrepreneurs and nurse entrepreneurs level up in business and help them with personal branding and visibility so that they could show up on video and attract more clients. All right. If, like I said, you're interested to learn more, keep following me here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. The Nurses Making, not Nurses Making Money Moves. That's my book. Sorry. Nurses Making Money Moves. If you want to start a business, I do have this book, Nurses Making Money Moves, where you can find on my website, nursefair.com. And it's a guide to starting a business as a nurse. But yes, you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Nursing Dose with Fair. Just type that in and the YouTube channel will pop up. And also you can follow me on Spotify, The Nursing Dose with Fair on Spotify. All right, so that's it for me. Follow me for more and I'll